Hello and welcome to I Am with Eric Faria. I am your host, and today it is my pleasure to have here with me Moe Acevedo, who is an investigator for the Bronx DA's office and also Scoutmaster. So, pleasure to have you here with me.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And I just wanted to get started with telling your story because I feel like you have a very interesting background and a very interesting, journey for you to get from where you were to where you are now.
Okay, so where would you like me to start that?
Could you start by saying how you got to the United States?
Well, I was born in Puerto Rico,
Mm-hmm.
in a little town called Moe Acevedo. 1967, my mother came to Port Chester with actually three more siblings, my two sisters and my younger brother. I had two older sisters here and an older brother here. July 1967, we came to Port Chester. I went to Port Chester Public Schools. Back then, I didn't speak English. They didn't have that much
ESL?
ESLs, yes. There wasn't that many Hispanics at the Edison school that I went to. I continued my education in Port Chester. At 20 years old, I worked with the Westchester County Police. I always had an interest in police work.
Sure.
With the assistance of, the state funds and working a little bit, I put myself through college. I started working with the Westchester County Police as a summer cop in Playland.
Mm-hmm.
I continued my education. I graduated in 1976. I got my associates at Westchester. In 1978, I got my bachelor's at Mercy College.
Wow.
I continued working as a law enforcement. I worked with SUNY Maritime College in the Bronx as a state campus police officer. 1982, I got called by the New York City Police Department. I became a police officer. I was promoted in 1987 to detective.
Uh-huh.
I continued my career. I was able to retire in 2000. I got hired by the Bronx District Attorneys a year later. And up to now, for the past 16 years, I've been an investigator with the DA's office.
Right.
I'm also a scout leader in Port Chester, Westchester County Putnam Council. I have a troop that I started when my son was very young, 6 years old.
Uh-huh.
Right now, we started maybe 10 kids. Now we have close to 30.
Wow.
Working on 5 Eagle Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my present life right now. I'm working and being a volunteer with the community in
Wow.
Port Chester.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love how the whole thing progressed from where you got here, didn't speak any English, and then put yourself through college and all of that. So what was the motivation for you, Mo, to actually, do that?
Well, being a police officer, since I was a kid, I always wanted to be a police officer. I was fascinated with police work. I was a kid in Puerto Rico. I joined, I was close to what they call Los Niños Escuchas, which is close to being Boy Scouts, but I was working with the police department.
Got it.
I joined the Boy Scouts when I came to Port Chester, and I didn't speak English, but I had a couple two Spanish guys in my class. Actually, they were Cubans because back then we didn't have that many Hispanics as we have now in Port Chester.
Sure.
They were Cuban guys my age. I was Puerto Rican. We got along really well, and they were teaching us with their different Hispanic accents and stuff. They were more interpreters for me, and I joined the Scouts. But then a year later, I went to sell newspapers, shovel snow, load up, working at the deli in Port Chester. And I always liked the Scouts. I always liked volunteering. I always liked helping people. And being a police officer was always something I always wanted to do. And I went for my goal. It was hard at the beginning with the language. Taking going to school with the language was a little harder. But never gave up. I just continued, and that's what I wanted to do. And I became a police officer, which was best thing in my life, being a police officer.
That's fantastic. And what is the most important lesson, I guess, that you learned from all your time at the police?
My lesson was always helping people, I felt that, I mean, people show me that they appreciate my presence as a police officer.
Right.
I remember one time I found a lost young lady, and a couple of days later, the mother baked us an apple pie and sent us a thank you card.
That's
You know,
nice.
that really,
Yeah.
that hit me. I said, well, and they do appreciate, that people appreciate, and I appreciate helping people, and I always felt that I did good for the community.
That's very important.
Yes.
And I feel like we need, the public servicemen and women that work with the police, right? What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have about the police?
Well, in my turn is whatever the stuff that you see in the media. But being a police officer is, it's in your heart. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you work all the tours, you put yourself you go to the academy. I mean, it's dedication. I say, the men and women in the police department, we're dedicated people. We are serving. The misconception, the way they see us is, it's not what what you see out there. I mean, we see people out there that we help people, and we're dedicated. I consider myself,
Right.
police work is in my heart. I'm a dedicated officer.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I see for most police officers,
Right.
the men and the women that work in the police force. That's the image that I get.
Right.
And I guess people also don't understand how stressful it can be.
Oh, sure,
right?
it is. Sure.
Because it's a lot of responsibility.
Sure, you see guys that retire and then they feel like a lot better. It is stressful. The work, it can be stressful. But it's also rewarding. I mean, the media, the stuff out there, you see some of the negative stuff, but there's more positive in police work than some of the stuff that you see out there. It's rewarding. Being a volunteer is also rewarding.
Right.
You're working with the scouts. You see the scouts making Eagle Scouts. These guys, they dedicate themselves they start at an early age, and they have that goal. What I do is guide them to reach that goal as Eagle Scout. Once
Yeah.
they've reached that goal as Eagle Scout, it's rewarding for them, and it's rewarding for me. Trust me.
Sure.
I see the faces when
Must
we
be
do
very
the quarter
proud.
run. Oh yes, I am. I am.
That's nice. That's very nice.
Yeah.
So just before we go for this first segment, we will be back. I just wanted to ask you, what actually made you want to become a Scoutmaster?
Well, my son brought the paper home. Dad, I want to be a scout. My wife says, you were a scout once, so you go. I went, and it was a small group, and I saw the kids wanted to do, and only a couple leaders were there. So they needed a leader, and my son volunteered me again. And I noticed that you needed to get trained, and I started doing research, and I started getting trained by the Boy Scouts of America and working with other volunteers. I noticed I dedicated myself, and in order to get the group where you had to have a leader. And I became that leader.
Just naturally.
Right. I went through, as my son went up, I became a leader in his dance because of the ranks. And then the Cub Scouts needed a Cub Scout master. I became the Cub Scout master. And then I progressed with more training, and I became the Scoutmaster. And that's what I do now.
Awesome. So I have to talk more about it with
Okay.
you. We're just going to take a short break. So
Okay.
for everyone watching, we'll be right back after this break. Stick with us. And welcome back to I Am with Eric Faria. Today I have Moe Acevedo with me here, so I'm just gonna jump right in. So Mo, you were talking about the work that you do with the Boy Scouts, and what is the vision that you have for the community and for the kids, the young men?
Well, the young men in the community, most of my boys, they're dedicated students, they're dedicated sport athletes. What I like to see is more youth involved in the program. I like to get it more diversity, be more diversified. I like to see more young men come into the program. It's a very good program, and Sportchester, I'm trying now. When I do my recruitments, I do it in English and Spanish. I try
Nice.
to reach out to elementary school,
Right.
which is if you get them young, they will succeed and they will go up to the final rank, which is Eagle Scout.
Eagle Scout, yeah.
I do want to see more.
Uh-huh.
In Westchester County, we have a large population of Hispanics. I like to see more Hispanics involved. I like to see more, not just the boys. Also like to see the adults get involved.
Oh, yeah.
Because if
Like
we
the
don't have the
parents, yeah.
adults, we don't have we can't do it the program. Just a couple adult volunteers doing it. You know, you don't want to get the boys to get bored, and you don't want them to leave.
Right.
So you want that retention. But also, in order to have a good program, you need leaders. Okay, the parents, people that could be leaders, volunteers. We need them. So.
Right. And why do you think even though we have a large Hispanic population in Westchester, why do you think that they are not aware? Why is that? Is it the language barrier that prevents them?
The Westchester County Putnam Council now is reaching out. We have a Hispanic initiative, which I'm part of the committee.
Right.
Two of the things were the communication. We're trying to publicize more. We're trying to advertise more in Spanish and English. I think a lot of the times, the minute that they come to what we call a rally night or recruitment night, once you start mentioning that the parents should be involved, especially with the younger kids. Okay, you have the Cub Scouts that go from kindergarten to 5th grade. That's the ages of 6 to 10 years old. We need parents to be there. We need an adult. In the program to work, the parent has to work with the scout. As they progress to a troop, which is 10 to 18, when they become Boy Scouts, it's more independent. And once the parents know what the program is about and they get involved, I think the retention will be there because the parents help the kid.
From being there from the beginning.
From being in there from the beginning. A lot of the parents, they can't be there because most parents work 2 jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
Another ones, once you start, they might be afraid when there's dues or uniform and stuff. But there's ways to get around that. There's ways to help the scholarship. We call it scholarship. There's also ways for membership that the scout, if they can't afford it. And same thing with uniforms.
Right, right. So people might be a little bit scared of that, right?
Right.
Of having to invest.
That's what I see, my experience, yes. But yes, we need to reach out to all the communities.
Right.
I mean, we need the community more involved in scouting.
And so you said you began because of your son, correct?
Yes.
That's how you originally got involved. And also, why do you think it's important that these young men are a part of something, a group, such as the Scouts?
It gives them something. It gives them a goal. It gives them a guidance. And they're also with guys that have the same ideas, the same goals. And when you get a group of those young guys, I mean, it's you see them working together, helping each other. It's like the other day, we were working we're doing an Eagle Scout project yesterday at Crawford Park. And myself and a couple of leaders would just sit back and see the boys working, talking, and everything, helping each other. That's where I get the pleasure. This is where you said, this is why I would like to see more the boys involved. And it's like a team. It's community. It's the boys doing something positive.
Right, right. And I guess also the leadership skills that they learn, right?
The leadership, yes, leadership. They know that part of the Boy Scouts is, the bottom line is leadership. How to gain leadership, how to delegate leadership.
Yeah. So when you were a kid, you said that there was a similar program in Puerto Rico?
Yes,
right?
yes. And it was with the police.
It was with the police. So with the police, what have you learned from the police that you actually brought with you, maybe like leadership skills or, things that you can impart onto the boys at the Scouts?
What I learned with the police was respect. Okay? No matter what age the person is, you show that person respect, the person will respect you.
Right.
I show responsibility. I show that if you want to get somewhere, you have to do the work. Don't wait to be handed to you. You have to reach. You have to at least. You have to accomplish what you want to do.
Right.
Don't wait for a handout.
I see. Very important.
Right.
And so where do you see from where you are now to the future with the Scouts? What is your goal like
Well,
moving
growth.
forward? Yes.
Reaching out to more of the community.
Uh-huh.
I want to see more diversity in scouting. I want to see more scouts making Eagle Scout, retention.
Yeah. You said you have 20 Eagle Scouts?
No. I have 29 scouts,
Okay.
and I have five Eagle Scouts right now. My
Five
son
right
was
now.
the second one in the troop. The original guys that started with my son, 3 of them are Eagle Scouts. We just made another Eagle Scout. We're working in a process of at least 6 more. By next December, we should have at least another 5 Eagle Scouts.
Wow. And how long does it usually take to become an Eagle Scout?
Well, it usually takes from the age when they start 10. It could take them about 6 years, 5 years, depending on what the guy works. We have different ranks. We start with a Scout rank, which is right after Cub Scouts. By the time that the Boy Scout become a first class, which is about the 3rd rank, it should be 18 months.
Oh.
And then he starts taking more responsibility and working on those merit badges. Merit badges are very important. A merit badge is like a career or a habit or something that you attracts the Boy Scout is a merit badge. For example, we have one that I teach, crime prevention. The boy learns about crime prevention.
Wow.
So he has to do the requirements. He has to read, he has to explain, discuss, and everything else about crime prevention. We have carpentry, we have welding, we have dentistry. We have all kinds of professions. We have, video, movie and stuff like that.
Wow.
So anything that the boy picks, he has to do, in order to be an Eagle Scout, must do 21 badges, 13 requirements, which include cooking now, and
Awesome.
8 electives. There's approximately 135, maybe 136 now merit badges.
Wow.
So he gets to choose that. But he must do 21, 13 require,
Yeah.
and 8 electives.
Out of the over 130 that they
And
have.
36.
That is fantastic. I did not know there were that many.
Oh, yes.
So-
Anything in profession like this, we got digital, we got movie making, we got all kinds of, you name it, we have it.
That's amazing. I feel like it's so important, and if I actually knew more about it, perhaps I would have been part of it, but
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. We also need counselors in certain things. We also, you don't have to
can talk
be,
about it.
you don't have to be the scout. But we also need counselors in those badges too. In a
That's-
profession like myself, I teach crime prevention and fingerprinting.
wow, fantastic. And using
We
your
have
skills
we,
as a
ha- yeah, we have
doctor.
a leader who's a dentist. He does dentistry.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's real life skills. It's
Right.
like
right.
real
It's the
things that we can
goals.
use.
Exactly.
Amazing, fantastic. So this is a perfect point to stop for this segment, and then
Okay.
I want to talk more with you. So for everybody watching, we will be right back after this break. And welcome back to I Am with Eric Faria. I'm here once again with Moe Acevedo. And Mo, I wanted to ask you about your family life. So you have 2 kids, correct?
2 kids. I had 2, yes.
Yes. So one of your kids was unfortunately your daughter. She was in a car accident and she
Right.
passed away.
Right.
Did that motivate you to do something in her memory?
It's what I started doing is the volunteer work that I was doing. She was very encouraging, also very supportive. My wife, my daughter, my wife Ginger, Virginia, and my daughter Gabrielle, and my son Francis, who's an Eagle Scout. After my daughter's accident, which it was in January 22nd, 2011, I was up in Rochester, New York. She was going to graduate that year. She passed away February 4th, 2011. After that, yes, it took a toll on me. It was hard losing my daughter. Very bright kid. She went to Spain. She was teaching English over there. She traveled. Very happy-go-lucky kid. I mean, smart. Um, my son and my wife, we were all, the three of us, very supportive. But being a volunteer and being around people that I help and that I work with, not only the district attorney's office, but being in the Scout, that was very, very helpful for myself and my son. And my wife always says that Scouting really also supported us at the time that we needed it.
Of course, I can only imagine. I mean, I'm so sorry for your loss,
Thank
and
you. Thank you.
I feel like when you have something that you can give back to the community,
Right.
and you
Oh,
talked
the
about
community in Port Chester. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing. My whole career, through my career as a police officer, and up to where I am with the district attorney's office, and then Port Chester, and then fellow officers and everything, the support was tremendous. I mean, people came out of nowhere to support us, to support my family. Port Chester, the Port Chester was, I mean, the support that we got from the village of Port Chester, the people in Port Chester, it was tremendous. And it's something that you look back and you says, you know, if it wasn't for the support that we got from friends in the village and the Port Chester people, you know, that's what made it a lot easier. Not easier, but they were there to support us.
right.
And you felt how well my daughter was, because she was as the day camp counselor for the Port Chester Recreation, and she was a Port Chester High School graduate. It was amazing. I mean, the support that we got from the people, it's amazing, and that's what makes me feel great about what I do for the village, for the people, not only at my work, but all over.
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah. That's once again, I can feel how, painful it must be to lose, a child. But yeah, having the support makes it, at least I think, bearable.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So how important do you think it is for people to be involved in community? Because I feel like a lot of the times, we all have busy lives, right? We all work, we study, we do both, we have more than one job.
Right.
So how important do you think it is for people to be connected to community, to the communities that they are a part of?
Community is like a family. If you don't connect with the people, you lose touch. You lose the contact of people. What we need more community. People more relating to each other. I mean, people helping each other. And you know what? It's funny because we say, oh, everybody's different, everybody separates. But I notice that sometimes when there's a kind of a tragedy or something, everybody comes together. Everybody helps each other. No matter what, who you are, where you are, what status you are, everybody helps each other. And then everything's settled, we go back. Why can't we just be the same way
And
like that
connected.
instead of waiting for a tragedy to be all
Right.
together and support each other? We should be more every day being like that. And I can see it's gonna come up. I feel it's, that people starting to help each other more.
I hope so. I really feel like there is this sense of community now that maybe there wasn't there before. I guess because, of everything that's going on in the world,
Yes,
people
yes,
feel like they need
yes,
to be
yes,
connected to
yes.
people or to something, right?
With the tragedies we had, 9/11, I mean, I was down there, and you
Oh.
can see the support with people, everybody pouring themselves to help everybody. I mean, same thing with when you see, look at my example, people supported me, came to help me. But let's not wait for, tragedies and stuff like this. Let's help all each other. Let's be friendly. I mean, I think it's standing a hand or a nice smile or a good friendly gesture. Good morning, how are you? How you doing?
Right.
You know.
Start small,
Yes,
right?
a good morning. You start with a good morning.
Right.
I mean, it makes your day.
Indeed.
Yes, it
does.
does.
Because not everybody
Yeah,
looks
you
at you
come
and
out of
says
here
good
and you say
morning.
good morning to somebody. That's starting your day. You're
Yeah.
starting in a good,
Yeah.
So it should be like that every day.
Could not agree more. I
Yes.
could not agree more. And I like that because, I like for people to watch the show or to listen to the show and to get something, to get, at least a little seed planted so they can go out and do something
Exactly.
about it.
Yeah.
So this is incredible. So going back to the Scouts, do you see a future for more people if they want to join the association, the Boy Scouts of America? Do you see like there is a place for people who maybe don't feel like they have something going on right now, that they can go and be a part of something and teach these kids and these young men?
Yes,
Yeah?
there is. Yes, there is. We're open. I mean, we recruit men and women. Now, I believe they're going to start recruiting girls. But yes, there is opportunity for everybody in scouting. If you have a son or a daughter that wants to join scouting, find the nearest troop, and yes, come and join us. And also, just don't send the kid. Also, try to help out too. I mean,
Right.
I like to get the whole family. We have a family involvement
Uh-huh.
things there.
And I feel like that's important because then you're really part of something
Right.
with your kid. It's
Right.
not just I'm sending my kid, whatever.
Exactly. And you see how the kid is progressing. And we do courts of honor where we have, like next Wednesday, we have a court of honor where everybody brings, call it potluck, everybody brings a plate, and we'll celebrate the accomplishments, the merit badges, the ranks, and everything else. So we recognize. You see, the boys do the work. They do the requirements, but at the end we recognize them.
Right.
They get acknowledged for what the work they did. They get recognized. They get the badges.
That's nice, yeah. And I feel like acknowledgement sometimes goes a long way.
Sure.
Yeah.
You teach them, they learn, they demonstrate, and then you recognize them. That's basically what we do.
Fantastic.
You did a good job. You deserved it.
Great. So before we go, last question, I promise. The name of the show is I Am. If you had to define yourself, how would you define yourself actually?
How do I define myself?
Yeah, using the
Somebody who's
words
willing
I
to-
am.
I am willing to help others at all times.
That's all there is.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much for being
You're
here,
welcome.
Mo. It was
Thank
my
you.
pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
And for everybody watching, please, we will have Mo's information. I will put the Scouts information there so people can contact,
Right.
The Scouts and be a part of it. And also start small, be a part of your community and see where that leads you. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mo, once again.
You're welcome.
And I will see you all next week for another I Am with Eric Faria.